Thank you for joining. Today, this is going to be an updated program review of what Stable Account is. We did this probably last fall, if I'm remembering correctly, with Hamilton County. So we appreciate our boards of DD and their support on promoting this program. So today we'll learn a little bit about the history of the program and why it's so important today. And then, of course, enrollment, eligibility, management of the funds, and how that fits in sort of the big picture of life planning, especially if the individual with the disability is working as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about just spending the funds, what people usually use their funds on. I've got a few testimonial stories that I can share that I've learned along the way. And then we'll open it up to Q&A as well. So I tested this earlier, so let's see if this works. Go to this. And I will share this with Sean afterwards too, and he can forward this out to everybody. Okay. All right. Is my screen good to go? Everyone can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Awesome. Okay. We will get started. Okay. So Stable Accounts is Ohio's ABLE program. This is a really important picture to our program because the individual speaking, her name is Jenny, and this was probably way back before 2014, but she was one of the many, many people that went to DC and advocated for the passage of the ABLE Act. So the ABLE Act was a federal act that was passed in 2014. It stands for the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, and that allowed every state to create their own savings and investment program. That program or account allowed those individuals to save and invest their own money or money from their parents, money from their guardians, money from their wages within that protected account. And the money in that account would not impact their eligibility for certain means tested benefits. The two that we commonly refer are the Supplemental Security Income, SSI, or Medicaid, which is administered through the state of Ohio. Currently, as many people know, if you are on those benefits, there are restrictions to how much money you are allowed to save each month. If you're on SSI, you cannot go over that $2,000 limit. And with Medicaid, there's restrictions with income and other different situations depending on the people that are eligible for Medicaid. So that obviously does not allow people to have the freedom and the empowerment to have their own way that they can save for their future. So it took over 10 years for the ABLE Act to get attention and traction. I was actually in Cincinnati last Thursday with an individual named Chip Gerhart, and his daughter, Anne, was the first ever ABLE account holder. She opened the first account in Ohio in the whole country. And he was also one of the people with Jenny that he's actually in this picture, but it was cut off. And he was the one that advocated this from a parent's perspective. And so that SSI rule is still a rule today. Medicaid has their own rules with savings and income, same with SSI. So ABLE accounts are an historic piece of history that allow individuals and their families to have those savings, the peace of mind, and that account is completely protected from losing the eligibility for those means tested benefits that so many people rely on. ABLE accounts, as I mentioned, they're a national program. We really refer them to kind of other different products that really benefit someone's life. So 529 college savings plans are another, so ABLE accounts are a 529 plan, same with the 529 college savings plan. So if a family has a 529 college savings plan for their child and down the road they feel education's not the best fit for them, they can actually roll those funds over into an ABLE account in whatever state they live in. And then those funds can be used on things outside of education. ABLE accounts are also very similar to a checking account or a special needs trust, which we'll talk about on the next slide. So these products are very similar to how ABLE accounts help those individuals, and they have a lot of functionality between them as well. So Stable is Ohio's ABLE plan. We are a national plan, and we were the first state to launch in 2016. There's currently 43 plans in the country. So most states have their own ABLE program, but because we're a national program, we have account holders in every single state, which is a huge accomplishment. We were the first, and we are also the most used ABLE plan in the country. So our outreach is specific to just Ohio, but there's times that we have the opportunity to connect on a more national level. The National Down Syndrome Society Conference actually had their, this is a picture from it, in Cincinnati last November. So we had a chance to represent ABLE on a national level in Ohio. So we got to meet with families from all over the country who were there for the conference. So this is a picture of us with Treasurer Sprague and then some of the NDSS staff, which was really wonderful. So some of our achievements, we really try to do outreach and education to any organization or agency or group that has that direct connection to families and individuals in the disability community. Ohio there's so many different organizations in Ohio. They're home to so many different groups and disability groups and advocacy groups that have kind of that role of providing support and services and assistance and events and just community love really to families and individuals in the disability community. So a stable account is a really crucial part of kind of the whole big picture of helping someone's life, especially the family that's kind of planning out for that individual's life that they're taking care of as well. Of course, our boards of DD are kind of the hub in every county that support those families as well. They give services, they give support, they help with employment, and they're there for us to connect with as well. So we're very thankful for Hamilton County and the other boards of DD that this program. We just celebrated, as I mentioned, our 8th anniversary this summer. We're almost to 43,000 accounts, which means that there are 43,000 individuals that historically were not allowed to have more than $2,000 at any time to their name. So if they have an account now, the average account in Ohio is usually around $11,000. That's a lot of money that they're now able to use for whatever is going to improve their life. In addition to that, there's over $482 million assets under management. And then our vendor Vestwell that manages the website, the online banking, the management, we are continually enhancing the experience for the account holder as well. And I think I did see something come in on the chat. The $2,000 income limit is for the month for the adult with a disability. Yes. So if you are receiving supplemental security income, which is administered by the federal government, the Social Security Administration, you are not allowed to have more than $2,000 to your name. So if you have a stable account, you can obviously contribute of that as well. And if you want to add anything to that, Sean, I think I hopefully answered that broadly. All right. So,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead, Sean.
You did well there. That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. And thank you for the question. And feel free to, if you want to save them for the end or put them in the chat. I can't see them come in, but I can always save the questions for the end. So benefits of stable accounts. The big ones that we see, and the reason this program exists today because of the ABLE Act passing, was just the ownership and the self-esteem. There are so many account holders that we know, that we've met, that have the account completely under their name. They went to our website, they opened their account, they made the first contribution, and it's their money. And they're also working. They can put part of their paycheck right into their stable account, and that money is there for them for the rest of their life. And then, of course, it helps families. It helps families with peace of mind. You don't have to be on benefits to have a stable account, which we'll talk about in a little bit with eligibility. But if you are on benefits, you know that there's restrictions to how much money you're allowed to have. So these accounts are a protected, safe place so that money can grow over time and be used in 5-10 years or for day-to-day expenses as well. And then it eliminates that spend down fear. Previously, if you were receiving SSI before the ABLE Act was passed, you had to spend that money. So people were spending their money on things that they really didn't necessarily need, or they weren't allowed to roll it over or save it over time. So it didn't allow that person to really plan out their short-term or long-term goals, where now stable account, that account can grow over time for any type of goal that they might have. This is sort of a lengthy page. I'm not really going to read too much through it, but other financial planning aspects of this program, just because we're really trying to connect more with financial planners, special needs trust attorneys in the state of Ohio as well. But contributions can also be made by family members. So if mom, dad, grandma, really anybody can contribute to anybody's Sable account today. I mentioned earlier that the 529 College Savings Plan is another great resource that families have created for their loved one, their child at a young age. For some reason, if they're not able to use those funds strictly on education, they can roll those over into a Sable account up to $18,000 each year. So that allows that person to use those funds on other things as well. Special needs trusts are a wonderful resource that we probably all have talked about at some point. Special needs trust attorneys are very, very well versed in the probate courts, guardianship rules, the tax laws, and special needs trusts are a different type of resource, but you can take money out of a special needs trust and put them into a stable account and then use those funds on day-to-day expenses as well. For Ohio, there are a few tax advantages. The income earned in a stable account is tax-free as it grows, as long as the withdrawals are used for qualified disability expenses. Financial planners can obviously, emphasize the importance of leveraging these tax benefits. And then if you are contributing into a stable account, there is a state income tax deduction. So contributions are deductible for up to $4,000 per year per stable account. That is the same tax rule for a 529 college savings plan as well. And I actually did think I did see a little chat come in. Can the account have a beneficiary? Great question. At this time, the account cannot have a beneficiary. So if the account holder does pass away, the only way that the funds can be transferred over is if they're transferred over to a family member that also has a stable account. And that is a current rule for all ABLE programs across the country. There has been a lot of talk over the years of being able to allow a beneficiary that would be added to the account that wouldn't be eligible for a stable account, but that has not been passed yet. Another question that came in was, does the account holder can have 520 college savings and a stable account at the same time? Yes, they can. Great question. The difference though is the stable account would be in the individual's name with the disability, whereas the 529 college savings plan would be in the person that set up the plan. So obviously there'd be some moving around of account holder and beneficiary names. So I'll go into the next page, Ashley, for enrollment. So eligibility, the person on the account is the person with the disability, and they are the only person as a beneficiary on the account. So the two pieces for eligibility, and this is for all ABLE programs, is if number one, the individual must have developed their disability before they reach the age of 26. So we know a lot of account holders that are well into their 60s because they were born with a disability or they had a diagnosis before they turned 26. The ABLE Age Act was recently passed last year, and that allows the age restriction to go up to 46. So starting 2026, the age will increase to 46, which will allow individuals who became disabled or had received a diagnosis after the age of 26 to be eligible for this program. So that is if somebody received, a health diagnosis after the age of 26, if they got a diagnosis of a disability, if they were in an accident. And then the other big one is disabled veterans. Disabled veterans receive different types of benefits through the VA, but they would be eligible for this program because they were disabled from their in some type of situation, or if an adult became disabled from an accident as well. So this ABLE Age Adjustment Act is huge for the program, huge for the country, and we're really excited to start doing outreach for that as well. It doesn't happen until 2026, but we still like to talk about it because it is a huge achievement for the ABLE community as well. So that is the number one for eligibility. The second piece of eligibility is if that disability or disorder also makes you eligible to receive SSI or SSDI. We don't require any type of medical notes, forms sent in. We really just kind of make it in the individual with the disabilities kind of discretion, of course, families as well. Our website has a great eligibility quiz. And then there's also a link to the Social Security Administration's list of compassionate allowances conditions, link site. So if you're not sure if you qualify for benefits, that is completely separate from this program. That's from the federal government, but there's a lot of information online that you can read about to see if you're eligible for SSI or SSDI. So those are the two pieces for eligibility. You do not have to be on benefits to have this program. There's a lot of account holders that we know that their parents set this account up for them when they were 5, and being that they live in the house and they're not in a situation where they're on benefits yet, or they're not independent yet, they just have this account, and the parents open the account for their loved one so that they could have that money by the time that they're 18 years old. So there's a lot of different situations for open the account and kind of what that looks like, but this is the rules for eligibility. And I did see 2 questions come in. Another question is, so what happens to their savings in the event they pass away and there's no one with a stable account? That is a great question. That is the last piece of this slide deck, which I will get to. There's a small piece about Medicaid estate recovery and what happens when account holder passes away. So I will get to that slide in a little bit. And then the second question is, if the individual doesn't have SSI benefit, can they open a stable account? Absolutely, yes. So if you aren't receiving benefits currently, but you're eligible to receive those benefits, you can open a stable account. As I mentioned, our website has a link to the Social Security Administration list of compassionate allowances conditions that gives a great overview of what qualifies somebody to receive those means tested benefits as well. In addition, on our website for eligibility and the quiz and information about eligibility, just the qualifications, we encourage families to do our online enrollment. There is a paper process if you're more comfortable doing paper, mailing the forms in, but we do encourage the the online enrollment because it takes less than 10 minutes. You have all the right information. So it's going to verify the identity of the person with the disability. So if I'm a mother and my daughter is 7 years old and she has a disability and she qualifies for a stable account, I could actually open the account on her behalf. So enrollment can be completed by the person with the disability, the account holder, or it can be completed by the ALR, the authorized legal representative. So this is sort of a short list of who those people are, what we've seen. And of course, as me being the mother, I would go to stableaccount.com. I would open the account. I would have to put in my information to identify myself, and then I have to put in her information because she would be the beneficiary on the account. So there's information online about enrollment as well. The ABLE account, the stable account, there is a $25 minimum opening deposit. You can obviously contribute more once you get that account started. But for Ohioans, as soon as you deposit at least $25, you get $25 back. So that is our enrollment incentive that we launched in April. As soon as that $25 is put into the account or more, the following month you would be given that $25 back. So that is our new enrollment incentive that we launched in April. We do a lot of outreach to our organizations in Ohio, or residential services, or ICF homes as well. So a lot of individuals with disabilities, at some time in their life, they may be moved into a group home. They might be receiving day services. They might be in a residential setting. And at that point, there are organizations that can actually set themselves up to manage and oversee multiple accounts. There is someone there's an organization in Columbus, Ohio that actually just recently set themselves up as an ALR, or organizational ALR, which means that if they have a resident that moves in and that resident has an existing stable account, they can actually take over that account and use those funds in the account on behalf of the individual. It obviously allows that organization's management of accounts to be a lot better, but we obviously know that there's a lot of families that exist, or that that they rely on this program, but down the road that child might grow up and might move into an ICF setting or a group home setting. So we want to make sure that those support services, those providers, those organizations are understanding of what this program is, how it helps those people, and that none of the residents are missing out on the opportunity to have this account in their name or to be managed by someone that could help them out. So we are doing a lot of outreach to those organizations. And as of last week, we just uploaded some awesome resource videos on our website as well. So this resource video is for the step-by-step process of opening an account as an ALR. So I encourage any family member to take a look at that as well. But we're always finding ways to have videos and kind of step-by-step videos to show how easy it is to open the account, kind of what it looks like. and making the process a lot easier. So stay tuned for that as well. But that is a new update that is on our website as well. So for 2024, the general contribution amount is $18,000. So that is the first amount of money that you can put in the account. So if you are a mother and you are going to max out for 2024, you could contribute $18,000 from all sources. If the account holder is employed, which many account holders we know are, they can contribute that first $18,000 plus an additional $14,580 of their income, making the total amount in their account for 2024 to be $32,580, which is amazing considering if they're on SSI, they're not allowed to go over that amount. So if they are contributing their paycheck, or if they're putting, funds from their grandparents or whatever source it's coming from, or their SSI money in their stable account, that is protected money each year, which is wonderful. And then all ABLE programs have a lifetime balance limit of $541,000. We have not had anyone hit that yet, but obviously over time, with the years go on, I'm sure we will have someone hit that account. We have had somebody in Ohio reach over $200,000, which is unbelievable. So that is something that we are really proud to say. As I mentioned earlier, the average account in Ohio has about $11,000 in it each year. So that's great that that money can be there for day-to-day expenses or grow over time as well. I did see a question come in. Let's see. When the kids will be 18 years old, can the parent still manage the account? If for some reason the family needs to move outside the United States, the account holder can continue save and manage his or her account. Great question. So the example that I gave earlier, if my daughter is 7 and she has a stable account, and by the time that she's 18 years old, if she is able to manage the account herself, then we would do a transfer of account name, and the account would then go into her name because she would be over the age of 18. If that minor is not able to manage the account themselves, then they would have to have an ALR put in place to manage the account. So some of those ALRs that were listed here, as we saw, were power of attorney, a guardian, a spouse, a parent, a grandparent, or a Social Security rep payee, or an organizational ALR. So as I mentioned, we've done outreach to organizations that manage multiple accounts. Those could be basically take over the account. If you are a minor, you automatically obviously need to have an ALR over the account. And then the other question was, if for some reason the family needed to move outside the United States, the account holder can continue to save and manage his or her account. That is a good question. I know let me go back to eligibility. For enrollment, it's when you go through enrollment, this is for all ABLE programs, you have to be a legal resident in the state of Ohio to open an account. So it's going to verify, obviously, your name, your tax ID, your Social Security number, if you have one of the two. Obviously, if you're a legal resident, I believe that there's other ways they can verify that you are a legal resident. But it's going to verify that you are who you say you are. And then as soon as that is verified, you would get the email that your account is created. So as soon as you have the account and you're a legal resident, manage the account, and you move out of the United States, I don't know if there would be an issue, because I think that you would still be contributing to the account if you happen to move out of the United States. I think that would be okay. I can definitely get some clarity on that. But in terms of enrollment and having the account, the beneficiary must be a legal resident. So hopefully that answered that. And I can get more clarity on that as well. You're welcome. Okay. Great questions. Let's go back to this. All right, so I'll go back to the screen one more time. So these are the 2024 amounts for the program. This is for all ABLE programs across the country as well. So the individual or family or the organization can fund the account a couple different ways. You can transfer money into the account through a general checking or savings account, EFT. You can mail in a check. And then we also encourage the direct deposit feature for payroll or SSI. So if someone's receiving $800 per month on SSI, or they're receiving $800 a month of their paycheck, they can have that directly deposited right into their stable account through a new feature we launched last summer. And then our gifting page is another way that family members or anyone really can contribute into the person's stable account. It's shared via social media, email. There's a really easy link that someone can go in and make an EFT deposit into the person's account. It's kind of like a GoFundMe, but it doesn't count as resource or income. So if for some reason you have to track your income, or there's rules around that, we just encourage everyone to know that as long as someone is gifting you the money in the Sable account and it's below the $18,000, then that's an okay contribution. But our system will reject anything over that $18,000. So if grandma wants to gift you $10,000 for high school graduation, and obviously the easiest way is to do the gifting page. So that's another feature we have as well. So I mentioned earlier that this program, all ABLE accounts, are savings and investment accounts. So as soon as you create your account, it's going to ask you how you want to disperse your funds. I would say that currently, if you just open the account and you don't choose any investment accounts, the default is our bank safe option. That is what we call our super savings account. It's getting about a 5% return on it, which is very good for a savings account. And about 67% of our account holders have all of their funds in their bank safe option, which means that they just want to treat this as a typical savings account. But there are options for investments. So there are 4 mutual funds that you can choose from here. Our website has some historical information about the history of these different investment options as well. We encourage families to look into that, especially, if you're not really familiar with investments and what these look like. There's definitely information on our website that gives a good overview of what these are, but we do encourage individuals, if you're not sure what investments you want to choose, and you're just, not comfortable kind of making those different decisions, definitely reach out to a financial planner. As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to do a lot more outreach to a financial planner so they know what this program is and how it works with kind of the overall big picture. But if you're not sure, then just put all your money in the bank safe option. That is a really safe, protected place as well. It's FDIC insured as well. And then as soon as the money is in the account, you can use the funds on anything that is going to relate to the disability to help improve, maintain, or improve the health, independence, or quality of life. So a story that I love to tell is, and actually I should go back to the picture because it's one of my favorite pictures. This is Kyle McKay. He is the staff photographer with the Down Syndrome Association of Central Ohio. And he is not only their person to take pictures at events, but he's his own entrepreneur. He has his own photography business. So he is an independent account holder. He's part of the DeSaco community. He's very energetic. He took our pictures at an event one time and then slid me his business card. And he has his own business. So he uses his funds on day-to-day expenses that are going to improve his life, but he also uses it on his business, his photography business as well. So a lot of families and individuals can kind of use it in different ways. If this is your only financial account that you're relying on for your contributions and your deposits and your spending, then obviously there's ways you can spend these funds on those day-to-day expenses. You can pay for rent, you can pay for your education if you do go to school, if you need to pay for transportation, if you need to pay for an Uber, but also the big things like paying for your business, paying for a new camera, paying for a vacation, things that are going to improve your independence, quality of life. It is a broad statement for a reason. And then the ways you can spend out of the account are you can transfer funds out to a personal checking or savings account. You can also pay a bill with a check. So our vendor, Vestwell, would mail the check to, let's say your rental company if you needed to pay rent for October, tomorrow on the 1st. And then also our Visa card is our other option for spending more efficiently. So if you have a Sable Visa card, that is our loadable prepaid card. So if my daughter is 17 years old and she's got $10,000 in her Sable account and she wants to go to Cedar Point with her friends or her school next week, and I hand her the Visa card, I would have to basically do an initiation of transfer of specific funds that I want to be just on a loadable Visa card. So it's not directly linked to the Sable accounts, but it's linked to the account in the way that you can transfer funds. So if I want to put $1,000 on a Visa card and give her $1,000. That's a lot of money to Cedar Point, but it allows those families to give that that kind of financial freedom to their loved one, but also have that money on that card that you can use for day-to-day expenses as well. You can make online purchases with the Visa card. You can obviously swipe it at Target or Walmart. You could input it in your app to pay for Ubers as well. So it's a really great way that those individuals can use it on those day-to-day expenses as well. But in a lot of cases, there are families that treat this program as kind of the place for savings. So if mom and dad have a young child that is born with a disability that will be with them for the rest of their life, they can take this program in this account and max out each year or contribute a little bit each year. And in 10 years, that account is going to have a lot of money in it. And then that money can be used for their child, whether they're living in a residential home, whether they're moving out of the house and going to get a car, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of different situations that families can use this account and plan out for short-term or long-term savings as well. Here is a quick slide about special needs trust. I mentioned earlier, they're another wonderful complementary tool that can be used with stable accounts. A lot of the special needs trust attorneys that we've worked with promote stable account as well, because they know it's another great resource that empowers and helps families and individuals along the way. But trusts obviously they have a unlimited amount of cash and assets you can put into the account. But with special needs trust, there's some rules on what you can and cannot spend the money on. And then of course you have to obviously pay someone to manage the trust, to set up the trust, and then to get access to the funds. There's kind of just a little more restrictions there, but there's no pros and cons. I mentioned that special needs trust attorneys can actually transfer money out of the trust into a stable account, and then the funds in the stable account can be used on a lot more broader types of items as well. We work, as I mentioned, with some great special needs trust attorneys in Ohio. So if there's any family member that is interested in connecting with one, we can obviously refer you to one that we've worked with before, that they know probate court rules and they know all about the rules with guardianship as well. Okay, so here is about what happens when someone passes away. So with anything that happens with someone's estate, when someone passes away, I don't know if anyone's ever gone through the probate court process, but it can be a quite lengthy process. But if someone has a stable account and they pass away, the estate administrator notifies our customer service to get access to the account. So if my daughter is 21 and she passes away, I would be her estate administrator. I would have to go through the probate court process to basically get access to her accounts if I was not already her ALR. If I was already her ALR, that makes the process a lot. So that process is easy. If the account holder does not have a will, then the account will go through the normal probate process, meaning that whoever is next in line to help out with the estate, whether that's a parent or a child or a sibling or a guardian or whoever, you have to go through the normal probate court process to get access to the account holder's stable account, in addition to other estate items as well. Where Medicaid comes in, Medicaid estate recovery is a process in which Medicaid can ask for a payback in some cases on stable accounts. So if an individual in the state of Ohio is on Medicaid at any time and they pass away, Medicaid has a right to their estate. They can put a claim or a clawback on their estate as a whole. Being that stable account is a financial product, that falls under that estate as a whole. Medicaid doesn't just do paybacks for stable accounts, they do it for all types of assets, whether that's land, whether that's a bank account, but that's completely done through Medicaid. But the good news about stable accounts is stable accounts have a lot of protections. So if my daughter passes away and there's 10 grand left in her stable account, I can go into her account and pay for her funeral. I can pay for even hospice ahead of time. I can pay for medical bills. I can pay for any outstanding bills that are part of her estate to take care of her estate. Whatever is left over is what Medicaid can put a claim on. The way that Medicaid does it, though, is if my daughter is on Medicaid for 1 year, but she has a stable account for 5 years, Medicaid can only look at the year that they were giving and covering services, and then they'll make a determination and put a claim on whatever they're going to recover. I don't have the number, but we recently were doing some analysis with Medicaid and their process of which they take money from stable accounts. The money that they take from stable accounts is very, very small compared to what they do in other types of situations. Good news with Medicaid recovery, though, is starting in 2025, there will hopefully be a bill that will eliminate Medicaid recovery from any type of stable account. So there are about 23 states in the country that passed legislation in their state that basically eliminated Medicaid from touching any money in a stable account or in an ABLE account in their state. So we saw that and felt that that was a really great idea because a lot of times when we meet with families, they feel that they don't want to contribute a bunch of money to the account because they think that all of it goes back to the state of Ohio after the person passes away. And that's just simply not true. Obviously, Medicaid can put a claim on whatever is left over if they have the right to the services that they're going to recover. But if we were to pass legislation in Ohio that would eliminate from Medicaid being able to recover from a stable account, that would give a lot of encouragement to families and individuals to know that their money wouldn't be completely going back to Medicaid. Obviously, that's only if you're receiving Medicaid, but we have 2 legislators that are supporting the bill. We'll hopefully see how that goes in 2025, but that is a new achievement from our program that we're really hoping passes next year. So I will go to the next slide, and I think I saw some questions come in as well. Let's see. For the family contributions gifts, the family member or family friend will receive a tax benefit too for the contribution stable account. Yes, absolutely they will. I will go back to this slide. So anyone can contribute to a stable account currently. And if you go, I saw it on my last time I did taxes. If you are, here's the slide. When you go through your Ohio tax form, or really any form in the state that you're doing taxes, it's going to ask you, have you contributed to 529 college savings plan or the 529 ABLE plan in Ohio, which is called stable. So if you max out the contribution, you could be subject to the deductible of up to $4,000 per year per stable account. So it'll definitely ask you that when you complete your taxes. And then the second question is, could you connect us with one organization or stable professional or certificated to talk more in details about the investment options and management role? Yes, I can. So I will say our office doesn't necessarily give financial or investment advice, but I can definitely refer you to some great organizations that we know are well-versed in stable accounts. So I can email those to Sean. And then also include this slide deck as well. And then also put in some of the special needs trust attorneys we worked with as well.
Yes, but my question is for the stable. In a stable, there is, yes, in a stable account, in the website, there is a financial investment option that you present. And one is a stock and bonds and the different plans that there are. It's really difficult to me understand what exactly I can do it in the stable account. I don't know if I can explain well. For example, we have the bank say option, conservative growth option, moderate growth option, and so on. So I think I need some advice how I can put the money to get more back. Do you understand what I say?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a link that I can email to Sean too. There's a link that kind of details more about those 4 different mutual funds and sort of how they're broken down. We really try to steer clear on giving financial or investment advice, but the links that I have are a good overview of what those different types of bonds and stocks are. They're, obviously these 4 mutual funds are not a typical investment account where you have kind of the choice to see what you're investing in. But the link will at least give you an overview of those 4 different ones. And then of course, what the bank safe option is as well. So I will be sure to include those links as well into that. Great question.
Thank you.
And then the other question was, how do we get that legislation passed? Great question. So there are two individuals, two legislators that sit on our Stable Account Advisory Board. And right now, the legislator is actually not meeting. They'll probably start meeting in November. And then, of course, early 2025 when things start getting crazy again. But we feel that this is going to get a lot of support. So we put a lot of work into getting the numbers, seeing the kind of big picture of how Medicaid recovers from accounts, what that number is. And we really feel like this is going to get passed. So as soon as that gets enough traction, that it'll be heard, we'll see how that goes with kind of the schedule of the committees and the hearings, but we're really positive that early 2025, it should at least hit the floor and get some attention. And as soon as that does, we are going to send some press releases out about it as well. Our office obviously could testify on it as well. But we always know that the biggest advocates are the self-advocates. That's how the ABLE Act was passed. We had all those self-advocates that promoted and, you know, passionately were behind this. So we're hoping that it'll be an easy passage, but obviously we know that sometimes those things can take time. So we'll keep you all informed as well. And there was a great press release from our office that we put out a few months ago in support of this. So I can also email that to Sean as well. All right, we're almost to the end. Let me go back to the most important slide, protecting the accounts. So obviously all of us know with financial management and banks and apps and emails and social media to know that there's fraud all the time. Our account manager, Bestwell State Savings, has a lot of operational enhancements that track the accounts. They look for fraud. They know how to look for fraud. But of course, if somebody has access to someone's logins, you know, at that point, it's really hard for us to take action. So we really encourage our account holders to protect their logins. We have multi-factor authentication for our logins. Our app, we just launched a new app last week also, which I will talk about. But of course, we want to make sure that no one takes advantage of any individual. We want to make sure that if somebody has a guardian, a rep payee, a situation where they're in an organizational home, that their account is not compromised. So we really do encourage ALRs to understand that they have a responsibility if they're managing an account and to make sure that they're also protecting the individual's funds as well. And then for Ohio, we lowered our fees in 2024 in January. So to have an account, it costs $15 per year. And then for all other states, obviously we're a national program, $27 per year. We are the lowest fee-based program in the whole country, which we're very proud of. So we're always trying to put back into the program and eventually make it so that there is no cost for the account holder, but very minimal cost for having a stable account in Ohio. And then I really encourage anyone to visit our website. We have some really great resources on there as well. We're through the Treasurer's Office, so we have social media. We're always trying to look for testimonials as well and storytelling. Our office is very proud of this program, and I could talk about it all day long, and I do because that's my job. But the biggest thing that I have found that really hits home is when you hear from account holders and when you hear their stories and you hear how it's helped families. And so we're really trying to tell more of those stories. So if anyone watching, or Sean, if you know anyone that it would ever be interested in being a testimonial ambassador with us, please shoot me an email. This email address goes straight to our team as well. But after this, I will send Sean our slide deck. And then I will also send some resources for those links about the investment accounts as well. And then I'll also include our flyer as well. So I will open this up for some other questions. I see that they're coming in as well. We must support that effort. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. How do we know if we are the ALR? So when you go to our website, right when you go to enrollment, and I encourage everyone to watch our new videos on enrollment for ALRs, it's going to ask you, are you opening this account for yourself or the person with a disability, or you open this account on behalf of someone else? So it's going to have you go through two different types of portals, as we call them. You will know if you are the ALR because it's going to ask you questions about yourself because you're opening the account on behalf of the person with the disability. So the beneficiary on every single stable account has to be the one with the disability. The ALR can be somebody that doesn't have a disability, can be mom, dad, guardian, spouse, parent, this is a list here. And then a question from Gabriella, does you have some contact with Spanish language? This is a wonderful question, and I'm so excited to talk about this because this has to do with Hamilton County Board of DD, actually. So last month, we had a webinar with the DODD, Department of Developmental Disabilities, their Latin and Spanish speaking network. So they're another state agency, but they have some individuals that they meet every month. They have a great support system. And there was an individual, and I forget his name, but he's from Hamilton County Board of DD. And there was individuals from different agencies and boards of DD that are basically there to support people with language barriers, especially, obviously, in this case, Spanish. So our vendor, Bestwell, if you call our customer service line, you can actually ask for language support. And then our website and our forms have language translation as well. We're trying to actually update our website as a whole for Spanish for language translation. We're working on that currently. But the update to this is that we are also working with DODD on recording a very brief but important overview of Stable Account, completely done in Spanish. So that would basically incorporate me or one of our team members basically going through this slide deck. It would be completely scripted so that it is as easy as, wouldn't be so in depth. And then somebody from DODD's team would basically do a voiceover in Spanish plus subtitles, because we've heard that as much as subtitles are helpful, that sometimes hearing it can be a lot easier for someone to understand as well. So we're trying to do that. We're also trying to do that for our deaf and hard of hearing services as well through OOD, which is the Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities as well. So we have two different projects, very different projects, but the same goal. We don't want anyone or any family to be overwhelmed by this information. I obviously look at this and think it's a very simple process. Open the account, and once it's opened, it's very easy to use. But for someone that doesn't understand investment accounts and savings accounts, plus having a language barrier, I can only imagine how hard that would be. So we want to make sure that we're updating our resources as well and supporting different communities in the state of Ohio. And then also, I will email Sean a link to Able Today. Able Today is a national group that supports all ABLE programs. They have a great overview video that's about all ABLE programs. It's not specific to Stable, but it's just about ABLE rules and ABLE contribution rules, and it's completely done in Spanish. So I share that a lot because we love Able Today, but it would be really great to have one that's more specialized to Stable accounts. So we're working on that with another state agency, so we'll be sure to share that. And I will copy your email now, and then I will be sure to email that link to Able Today as well. And they also have a YouTube video that is about ABLE accounts that is done in American Sign Language as well, that I am always sharing as well. So, but yes, great question. I will be sure to share that. Sean, I'm going to be sending you a lot of things. So
That's okay. That's good. That's good.
But any other questions, feel free to send them my way. Or Sean, if you want to add anything else after this, feel free to as well, and put this back up here.
Well, this has been really great. I think are there more questions? I think we're good with the questions, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. How's everybody feeling? Everybody, this is great information for everyone. Rob, do you have any questions there? Oh, do you share this video and presentation with us? Great question. We're actually going to upload this video to our website, and you'll be able to access it directly from our website. It's going to be on YouTube pretty much. So
YouTube.
Yep, YouTube.
What's that?
That's Rob Overbeck. That's what he does. Great guy, great guy. Great guy. Any other questions for Elena? We had a lot of great questions.
Yes,
I
we
mean,
did.
I've
Appreciate that.
seen. So the questions were fantastic. I don't have anything to add. This has been awesome. Maybe our next time, next year, we will maybe we do it in person, Elena. How would that be okay with you?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. And maybe we could, if I can rope in our Derek Graham or Logan Phillips, they're special needs trust attorneys we do work with. They'd be really great to be able to travel with me and do kind of a joint presentation on that financial planning. So
That'd be
yeah.
outstanding. And then there's something that you're doing in April next year, you said, right?
Yes, yes. April is Able to Save month. So that is definitely about obviously saving and for disability employment as well. So we're trying to do a lot of workshops and webinars for the month as well. And then tomorrow is the start of Disability Employment Awareness Month, which I cannot believe I did not mention, but that is a great month that we really highlight our account holders who are able to work and part of the community. So that's another great initiative that we're doing.
Outstanding. That's good to know. Well, all the information that you just shared, I'll make sure to get that out to all the families, and anything that you have going on, just let me know, send them my way, and I'll make sure that Hamilton County residents that they get it.
Wonderful. Great. I will email all of that over, and then feel free, once everyone has my email, if you have any additional questions or anything, just shoot me an email, but I'll send that over to you first thing tomorrow morning and just continue to be a resource for everybody. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Elena.
Thank you so much, Sean. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Great to meet all of you.
Everyone have
Thank
a
you so much. Thank you so
Bye.
much for everything.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
bye-bye.